When we look at our brain and how it forms stress, we see that there are many complex systems within our brain that let us know when we are stressed and how we deal with it. According to an article from Scientific America, our brain consists of 1 billion neurons. Each of these neurons formed about 1,000 connections to other neurons, amounting to more than 1 trillion connections, which means our brains have the capacity to hold 2.5 petabytes, which is about 1 million gigabytes. While our brains have massive capabilities to learn new ways to de-stress, we often can't hear them due to the volume of our other day-to-day stressors. Whether it's math, a to-do list, your ex, work, performance, tests, a flat tire, or tacos, or even your car payment. On your mind 24/7, your brain could already be in a state of stress. But let's take a further look into the parts of the brain that deal with stress. Our limbic system evolved early on and is driven by emotions and cravings. It is more focused on gaining more immediate pleasure and gratification. It is a more primal part of our brain and has significant influence on how our body reacts to stress. Once our brain feels any perceived threat, the limbic system notifies the amygdala that needs to trigger the fight or flight response, flooding our bodies with the hormone adrenaline. This sudden release of adrenaline triggers a secondary reaction of the hormone cortisol. This occurs in our brain because of the perception of a threat, and when this threat becomes actualized, it diverts blood towards our arms and legs to prepare for the flight or fight response. Once this happens, our bodies stop moving, become tense, our heart starts to beat faster, and we begin to perspire. Just another quick reminder that while all of this is going on, we have all of our other internal and external stressors adding to the severity of this chemical change in our body. Which brings us to our prefrontal cortex. It evolved later on and can only see long-term goals. It responds quickly to making choices, but can become exhausted easily as it needs enormous amounts of energy to stay at peak performance, while the prefrontal cortex functions as the decision maker for our brains if overwhelmed. According to Scientific America and the National Institute for Health, acute stress can even leave the prefrontal cortex impaired, leaving the individual with a sense of overwhelming, uncontrollable stress. Historically, the formation of the brain came out as a means of direct survival for protecting our bodies, and went a little something like this. You're a pretty sore person, you're walking around, and you're walking, and all of a sudden you stop because you hear something or you see something in the distance, and immediately your limbic system is going to trigger your fight or flight response. So you're going to stop, your heart's going to beat faster, your palms are going to get sweaty, and you're going to get ready because all of the blood is being diverted to your limbs, where you're either going to get ready to fight or flight. So no matter what stressful situation you're in, regardless if it's ancient Africa or a classroom setting, the body's response to stress is the same. You're going to stop, your heart's going to beat faster, your palms are going to get sweaty, and you're going to become alert and ready because your body's fight or flight response is being triggered. What is this? I've been working all night on this. What am I going to do now? Jeez.
When you have stress, these stress relievers won't help eliminate the stress, but it will just help deal with the stress. So there's two types of stress relievers that you can do. One is long-term and one is short-term. So one thing you can do to help with your stress is get organized, not only with your schoolwork, but with your house or your car or anything that feels cluttered, because not only is your space cluttered, but your mind is cluttered. If you clean up your space and your binders and all that, your mind would be more clear. Getting enough sleep every night is also something you can do. With the right amount of sleep, your brain focuses more and you're more active in your studies. So time management is another thing. Just if you feel like you're running late or always running late, sit down and actually plan out your time and see how you're actually using it so that you feel better about yourself. Because if you arrive to class late, you could be missing vital information for tests or projects or anything like that. So another way to help with your stress is to get a planner. Getting a planner is great because you actually have it physically written down when tests are due, when important dates are. And if you have a smartphone, they have a calendar, they have alerts and everything, and you should really, take advantage of that app. So ACC also has sources or things you can do to help with your stress, like joining a club. If you have time, meeting new friends is always a stress reliever to do stuff if you have time. And there's also student life. You can talk to a counselor if you feel like your studies are slipping and you need help. If you feel like you have too many classes or a class is slipping because you have too many classes, it might be better to drop a class instead of fail that class, because an F on your GPA is worse than withdrawing from class and just losing your money. And then because you didn't drop the class and you have an F, gives you more stress. Above all this, do not procrastinate, because if you procrastinate, all of your studies will pile up, all of your test dates, everything will just pile up on you, and it'll just cause even more stress. And studying a little bit at a time is more effective than studying the night before. So for short-term stress relievers, all these ways don't work for everybody, it's just what you prefer. And these are just fun, short, little things that you can do, funny, not funny. So you can read a book, you could go for a swim. Exercising is also something you can do. Watching something funny. If you like to write, you can always write. You can hang out with some friends. You can try all 31 flavors at Baskin-Robbins. You can pet an animal. You can make a bucket list. You can try writing the alphabet backwards. You can always just dance.
Turn down for what?
So all these ways are ways to alleviate your stress, not procrastinate. Do not use these things to procrastinate. If you have time to do them, great. But if you don't, you should focus on whatever is important at that time. And as well as all these, here's some more ways you can alleviate your stress.
I hate this class, I've been going through it over and over and over again. Just got my test back.
Hey Zach, so I have some bad news.
Yeah, no, that's not happening. We're not doing that around here.